Hello and welcome to my ranking video for the 4 Eureka Blu-ray releases of the In the Line of Duty film series from the 1980s in Hong Kong action classics. This is a ranking of how I would put the films from least favorite to favorite, but also in lieu of my kind of ridiculously long review of In the Line of Duty Part 4, which I just filmed, was almost an hour in length, and I don't know if I'll cut it down much shorter than that. So for anyone who just can't sit through an hour of me waffling on about these movies, I get it. So this is going to be your bite-sized kind of video to kind of just give you my brief thoughts on each film, and just to kind of one last time celebrate my love for them, because it's been an interesting journey of just covering the announcements of these releases, being intrigued by them, wanting to see Yes Madam because I'd seen a gif of it, with Michelle Yeoh and Cynthia Rothrock, and then wondering what the other films are going to be like and if I should be excited for them, to then reviewing all of them, and now I'm here and I have all 4 of them on the shelf and they look gorgeous. And first and foremost, I love how these things look together, from both the spines, the way they line up on the shelf, to all of the covers by Darren Wheeling, which look fantastic, and even the original kind of poster, reversible sleeves that you can put onto the inside case and the amore, where again, they just look nice, I think, when you just take a look at the alternate covers on the inside, even down to the booklets, all having a similar theme. I like the way that they've just kind of themed these releases, and they feel connected in a way that's, for me as a collector, I really enjoy. I like the aesthetically pleasing nature of it. But let's kind of dive into my ranking from least favorite to favorite. So at the bottom, number 4 would be In the Line of Duty 3, or Royal Policewoman 3, The Male and Female Thieves. This is a great action movie. This is it's brutal. There's some phenomenal stuff in it. It's really a film about revenge. There's a lot of bloody vengeance in this film. There's some really brutal, bloody fight sequences. It's about these 2 Japanese thieves who end up in Hong Kong, and Cynthia Khan and a Japanese cop played by Hiroshi Fujioka, who's trying to avenge the death of his partner, and they're focusing on taking down the male and female thieves, these Japanese terrorists. And it's a phenomenal action film, but by the nature of needing to pick one to go on the bottom, it would be this one by just a little bit. The next one, my number 3, would be Yes Madam. I cannot believe, if you told me this when I first watched this film, that it would be my 3rd favorite in the series, I would have laughed for a very long time. This is the one that I started with, and I was blown away by it. It's a very funny film. It's the most comedic of the 4, the first 4. There's more in the series, but I'm just talking about the 4 that Eureka have released on Blu-ray. And while there's some great stuff in Yes Madam, it's really the final 10 minutes that it's this big fight sequence with Michelle Yeoh, Cynthia Rothrock, all these henchmen. There's all sorts of crazy stuff going on in this action. It's just jaw-dropping stuff, right? If you were to put up a 10-minute stretch of any of the 4 films to the final fight sequence in Yes Madam is winning, hands down. But to look at it as a complete film, I would say that I just preferred the story and some of the action sequences a little bit more overall from start to finish in the other 2 movies. But Yes Madam is just an action classic. Michelle Yeoh and Cynthia Rothrock, who comes in as this British policewoman. They've got to kind of work together, but it's also really more about these 3 kind of nefarious characters played by Mang Hoi, John Sham, and Choi Hak, who's more notable as a film director. And these 3 guys, who are named after drugs like Panadol and aspirin, they're kind of that they do forgeries and stuff, and they get wrapped into this big plot, and they almost become more main characters than Michelle and Cynthia. But again, the fight choreography in this thing, the cinematography, it's a great way for this series to start, and I love it, and I can't wait to revisit all of these movies. But Yes Madam is one that just because of that final 10 minutes, that's one I'm really keen to go back to. So number 2, my 2nd favorite of the 4, would be Royal Warriors. Again, if you told me after I finished watching Royal Warriors that it'll be my 2nd favorite, I would have laughed for an even longer time, because Royal Warriors to me is one of the best action films I've ever seen. Which must mean that my number 1 pick is also one of the best action films I've ever seen. Royal Warriors has such a variation. It has like a car chase, it has a shootout in a bar. You know, it has great hand-to-hand combat, it has shootout stuff, it has a tank at the end, you know, there's a fight with the chainsaw. But there's fun character stuff, and while fun is in like, you know, stuff that really works with characters, that for me watching it, seeing the pieces come together, it's fun to see like a good story unfold. There's not too much fun about the actual plot of the movie, which is about this group of criminals who kind of went through a war together, and they get wrapped up in Michelle Yeoh's character, along with Michael Wong, who is like a police officer, and then we have a Japanese police officer played by Hiroyuki Sanada, who is also kind of brought in, and it's again another kind of revenge kind of movie, and so it drew me in a lot to seeing those characters take down the bad guys, because the bad guys have done something really bad, and you really want them to kind of get their comeuppance, and maybe even you want to see them get taken down like brutally, because it brings out this bloodlust when you see something so horrific done to someone, and you get all on board with the vengeance aspect of it. And so I was super drawn into this film, but it was just every little part of it I thought was so well constructed, shot beautifully, and just the variation of the action scenes peppered throughout a really strong story, I thought, is what made it just phenomenal. But number one for me is In the Line of Duty Part 4, Witness. Just a phenomenal film about this simple dock worker in Seattle. He's from Hong Kong, and he's been working hard, and you know, he's been there for like years and years. He's just got his green card and everything, but he gets wrapped up in the wrong kind of business. You know, he's in the wrong place at the wrong time, and is given a roll of film on which has a photo of someone in the CIA who was involved in a big drug trade deal. And just by virtue of him being in that wrong place at the wrong time, he is now the witness that everyone is coming after. The drug cartel is after him. The bad guys are after him. The Hong Kong police are after him. The American police are after him. So we have Donnie Yen, who's the Seattle police officer, is on the case. Cynthia Khan, who's from Hong Kong. And we go from Seattle to Hong Kong, and there's all this, this just the most jaw-dropping fight scenes that you'll probably see almost anywhere. You know, and this is, again, a variety of stuff. There's this incredible ambulance chase sequence. Well, it's not a chase sequence, actually, now that I say it, but it's an action sequence set on an ambulance on a highway. There's no real chase going on, but it's this amazing set piece that I've watched it so many times. I love it. It's such a cool, expertly pieced together sequence. This one was directed by Yuen Wu-ping, who's a legendary, you know, Hong Kong film director from stuff like Snake and the Eagle's Shadow, Drunken Master, and also notable for being an action choreographer on like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, The Matrix, the Kill Bill movies. It shows here. The fight sequences are incredible. Donnie Yen stuff is wonderful. There's all these great slow motion like kicks and stuff, and yeah, I loved everything about this film. Like, and the plot with the witness, and Simon Yeun Jr., who plays Luke, who's the guy who's just kind of wrapped up in everything. I really was drawn into his plight, and how this guy just didn't deserve all this stuff that he went through, and he's a tough guy, you know. And unfortunately, it was this actor's final film. He just didn't continue acting afterwards, which seems a shame, because I thought he was great and was kind of the beating heart of the movie. But Donnie Yen, seeing him in his prime is fantastic. I thought Cynthia Khan did amazing in this film, and like, I don't know, I think she proved herself a lot more than maybe she gets some credit for. But yeah, that would be my number one. And that's my thoughts on those 4 films very briefly, which is almost difficult for me to do because I just want to tell you everything about them, and I just get so excited. And yeah, I think 2023 for me is going to be the year of me diving headfirst into Hong Kong cinema, and I think that these releases in particular have done that. I don't think I'm going to be as kind of amped up about like kung fu movies and the period piece set stuff, because historically, my first real exposure to Hong Kong cinema, apart from Bruce Lee when I was a kid, has been the Jackie Chan stuff, and I've always loved Jackie Chan's contemporary set movies more than his, you know, the period films like Drunken Master and so on, or is it Dragon Fist? I know there's Dragon Lord, there's so many of them, and I've seen many of his films, but I always prefer the more contemporary set ones like Police Story. Project A it's not like a traditional kung fu movie, or both of them aren't. So Project A, I guess they're not kind of traditional, you know, they're not like, you know, set hundreds of years ago, so that's kind of a bit different. But the Police Story stuff, the Armor of God movies. I just love the more contemporary, present day Hong Kong set stuff, including these films. So that's the stuff I'm going to want to see more of. But I do have an abundance of old kind of, kung fu, martial arts, Hong Kong movies in my collection. So I want to dive into those. And now I'm just seeing every film I watch, there's someone who I recognize from one of the other films. And I love it's kind of bridging my knowledge together a bit, which is kind of exciting and fun. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. I highly recommend all 4 of these releases, and I'll see you in the next one.